who is the type of person, who's the type of spouse I'm looking for? I don't know. My opinion is that I think that question will be better answered when you begin to know yourself better, right?
Yeah,
Otherwise,
that's right.
you are just aiming for a idealistic, utopian state where it doesn't really exist, right? You're looking for that perfect Mr. Right or Mrs. Right, who does not exist. You are listening to the WADT podcast, and this week we continue with a new series called Hot Potatoes, where we discuss difficult situations parents face with their children and provide some practical tips on how to handle them. If there is a hot potato that you would like us to touch on, do let us know through our social media and email. My name is Parkson, and my co-hosts today are Hafiz, Kevin, and Alvina, a mom of 3 teenagers who currently works as Family Life Educator with Mums for Life. Welcome.
Hi, Parkson. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
All right. Are you excited to be with us today for the very first time?
Yes, the rose among the thorns. Why not?
Okay, our hot potato for today is Puppy Love, and I wonder how many of you remember this song.
And they called it puppy love. Oh, I guess they'll never know how a young heart really feels, and why I love her so.
So, who knows that song? Who remembers those days?
No idea. I don't. It's black and white, right? So it's definitely something that I'm not familiar with.
So you were born after the black and white era. Yeah.
A familiar song, but yeah, I don't think it's during my time.
No, I've never heard of the song. I'm so amazed. I think even though it's black and white video, I think his suit was starched. I think it was so straight.
No, in those days, people had better posture.
All right.
Well, anyway, that was Paul Anka singing Puppy Love, and that's the topic of our discussion today. So to kick off, let's try to define what puppy love is. Well, I've looked up, and Cambridge Dictionary says it is a romantic love that a young person feels for someone else, which usually disappears as the young person becomes older. And synonyms to puppy love are words like infatuation and crush. So let's really be honest today. What was your first experience of puppy love like, Hafiz, and how long did it last?
Wow. As far as I can remember, during primary school. Yeah, it's I think at primary 5 or 6. Yeah, it lasts at the end of primary school until end of primary school.
Wow, your hormones were already raging when you were in primary 5.
Early bloomer.
Yeah. It didn't wait until I go to secondary. I'm an early starter.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that. And how about you, Kevin?
Alamak, Hafiz, you say primary 5, you early starter. Then I tell you at my age like that, then I don't know. I don't know where I have my face, man. I can remember K2. Kindergarten
K2?
Yes.
Wow.
Early bloomer. I remember I like my this particular classmate, and I was so excited, especially when my teacher paired me up for the graduation dance, Ayo, I was so happy, Then I was so I remember it's popular. Why? Because I want to write a note to her. All right. So I asked my mother, how do you spell this word? And so I write there how do you spell love? Then she spelled for me L-O-V, okay, U or Y-O-U, okay. So I write the word there, dear so and so. I'll keep the person anonymous, dear so and so, I love you. Then my name Kevin. Then I put this note, put in my letterbox, because I thought if any letter you put in the letterbox, the postman will take and go. So I wrote the letter and I put inside there. Then my mother come back, what is this? Did you write this? They said, yes, it's for my friend. I said, oh, but the postman don't know where your friend stayed or no address. I was like, oh, is it like that one? Yeah, so yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So that is
cute.
me. K2.
Wow. Okay.
All right,
Alvina.
all right.
Wow. My
What
turn.
about you,
Shouldn't we-
Alvina? Yeah.
Yeah, Nick. So we leave the best for last, right? For Parkson to just blow us out of the park, blow the whole story out of the park. My first one. Okay, so I now I thought about it. I think the first time this particular boy caught my eye was in primary 5. Right, so I liked him from afar for a long time, and he was a rather popular guy. So it was like every primary school girl's starter pack, as they call it, starter pack crush, right? But then we actually dated, became boyfriend girlfriend, in Sec 2, and that went on for about 14 months. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
You even know it's 14 months. You must have, took note in a diary or something.
Of course. That's what girls do.
Yeah.
This before Facebook and Instagram. we have to document it somewhere.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
they
we'll
dated
talk
the
about
hottest guy in
breakups.
class, in school. Wow.
I would
Of course,
tell
must
you,
document.
No, you said hottest guy, right? So I remember when somebody found out, you know what that person said to me? This other girl found out. She said to me, oh, I heard you're now going out with so-and-so. I said, yes. You know what she said? Congratulations. that was how great it was.
Wow.
So yeah, anyway. Okay, Parkson.
Well, I wasn't an early bloomer. In fact, I was a late bloomer in many things, including academics. So I was basically, in primary and secondary, I went to an all-boys school. So I was not exposed to a lot of girls except for my sister, my mother, my cousins.
Your
Yeah.
teachers.
And the teachers, yeah. So I don't remember having puppy love at that time. Until I was doing my O levels the second time, and my father pulled some strings and got me into a different school, into a mixed school, and that's where I met somebody. Was mixed, who later on became my wife, and so we dated for 9 years before we got married. Yeah, so nothing out of the ordinary. So first love and first and last.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh,
So that's
indeed,
not
why we
best
popular
say-
for
for you.
last.
That's why we say Parkson for the last.
Yeah,
for the
that's
story.
right. Late bloomer also never mind.
Yeah, late bloomer. Huh?
He let us
So
do
that-
all the false love, and then for him it's just straight away true love.
Yeah. It's not even puppy love anymore. It went just straight to like lifelong love.
Wow.
So today's topic,
Yeah.
we talk about puppy love. I mean, it can start as early as preschool, right? And then we talk about teenagers. But I also heard that puppy love can happen after you get married. Although this is not probably the topic of the discussion, right? We talk about puppy love among our children. So is something true, Paksan?
Yes, it is the beginning of an affair.
In other words, it doesn't seem so.
It's
it doesn't
serious,
seem so
serious.
mild as in puppy love, is it?
Yeah, because you see, puppy love is when you fall in love and you feel that you're in love. And usually that doesn't last long, okay? And it shouldn't last long. If it lasts, it's actually, there's another word for it, and that's limerence. I'm not sure if you have come across that word. It's called limerence, Limerance. And it's basically, it's a stronger word than puppy love, where somebody could be as obsessed with somebody, and feeling anxious when they're near somebody, or even when they are in the absence of that person. All right, so they're always thinking about that person, and so on and so forth. Now, limerence is what makes the saying "love is blind" true, because it actually affects the brain, and it kind of makes you become a little bit irrational. All right, and that's when you see couples only just idolizing each other or idolizing somebody, and all just not seeing the flaws in that person's character or certain characteristics, only focusing on the positives. That is probably the effect of limerence. Okay, yeah, and what the experts have found is that it usually lasts about 2 years. So in my advice to dating couples, I always tell them give yourselves at least 2 years of dating before you decide to get married, because if you are having this limerence thing, it should wear off after 2 years, and then you begin to see things not through rose tinted glasses but through clear glasses. Yeah. But puppy love should mature into real love. All right. So you go from falling in love and being in love to actually loving somebody. So falling in love is something that kind of it happens to you, but loving somebody is something that you choose to do. So that's the difference between the two.
Wow.
Yeah,
I won't,
so
I won't know how to share that with my teenagers. They're like, huh? So deep.
Get them to listen to this podcast.
Exactly.
Right,
yeah.
right.
So I just watched this movie, Pixar movie, Turning Red. I don't know whether you
Yes,
watched
that's
it.
great.
Yeah, about the
Yeah,
panda.
yeah.
It was very funny. But I luckily I watched it with my daughter, my 15-year-old daughter, and I think that's one way to me I do this lah to so called touch on issues with my teenage daughter. All right. I mean, it is fun, but at the same time, when the time is right, after or in between the scenes, there's certain lessons to be talked about. I talked to her about it, and I think one of the issue in that film is about this character, right? The girl, right? The teenager have this crush on the boy band, right?
Spoiler
Or
alert.
someone.
Spoiler alert. Just in case.
So yeah. So I think in a way it helps me to break the ice, to talk about serious issues, in a light way, to my kid.
So Hafiz, one of your daughters or one of your daughter just got married recently. Would you like to share before she got married or before she even met the guy, and started dating? Did you give her any advice, and what was the advice you gave her?
I think for her, she didn't have serious boy-girl relationship then, because I think as parents we were very strict. But I think also we learn along the way that when you're too strict to your children, they tend to keep to themselves and don't tell you about their secrets. I think this is the fall, the negative thing about when you are too strict, right? So we learn along the way. Then we change our style a bit, and to our other children, even to her, after she's in her late teen years, she became more open. And I think she just got married at the age of 25. I mean, the person that she got married to, she met when she was in the university. It's considered quite early, right? I think nowadays, girls married at 25. He's about 27. So technically, he's still studying. So there's a lot of issues that we had to make sure that they are sure of themselves, that this is a serious thing. It is not puppy love. It is not, So I think the difference with puppy love and real love is that puppy love is, is a short-term infatuation and things, right? But love to get married is something involve commitment, something involve that are you really going to live with each other for the rest of your life? I think at that age, in 20s, they're already prepared to talk about it. So there was this process of a few years actually. They know each other for at least until they got married was 3 to 4 years. But the serious discussion happens about 2 years before they got married, and we were involved somehow in that discussion. Yeah.
How about you, Kevin? I know your kids are not married yet. Have you ever talked to them about boy-girl relationship and given them any kind of advice, or, for example, no dating before this certain age?
I have a very unique way of looking at my children, I guess. Because when my girl, because I have 2 boys and a girl, right? So when my girl was 2 years old, I remember around 2, when still very young, and we were walking at a HDB corridor, and then I'm just holding her hand and walking down. Then the thought of it, and I told Fanny, my wife, I told her, I feel as though I was walking my daughter down the aisle. 2 years old, I really feel like, I really feel like walking her down the aisle, like in a sad way, and I was like, one day I'll walk her down the aisle, that kind of thing, yeah. So I'm very I'm unique lah that way lah, you know. But yes, we have talked to our kids about dating. Not that any of them are dating now. The oldest one is 12, and Hannah is 10. Timothy is 8. But we have talked about when are you ready to date and stuff. They are not ready. They say like don't like kind of thing. Yeah. And but we have had conversations about it, like when will you be ready, the kind of thing, you know. Yeah. So I remember my oldest one, latest conversation I had was he said, "Oh, I'm not ready for a relationship, and I don't think I will be anytime soon." Yeah. So it's interesting that at 12 years old he can grasp a little bit of the concept of what being a relationship is. While this is the topic on relationships and dating, BGR kind of thing, right, boy girl relationships, we actually have more conversations about married life actually. And my oldest one actually occasionally in the car suddenly say, you know, it's very hard to be parents, that kind of thing. He will like just make comments like that. Why do you say that? No, because you see, like you and mommy, you know, take care of three of us, kind of thing. Like not easy, like that. So it's very hard to be a parent, that kind of thing, you know.
How about you, Alvina?
Wow, for me, okay. So I think like in many ways we refer back to our own experiences as children, right? So my first boyfriend was when I was 12, and it was an open thing. There was nothing hidden because my mom was very chill about it. You know, she's very cool about a lot of things. So I really felt very. I felt that I could speak to her, talk to her about anything, and I didn't feel that she was going to tell me off or whatever. So because of that, as a mom, I also carry on the same kind of feeling with the children. I'm very open with them. However, I do encourage them to just put it off for as long as they can. I tell my children basically that, you know, it's very normal to have feelings about the opposite sex. It's very normal to be interested or to single certain people out. But that I encourage them, you know, it's great to be friends, you know, get to know your friends and be out as a group and get to know one another. And then one of the extra thing I add into that is I say, oh, and you know what? You have many opportunities when you're older to, you know, to have boyfriends, girlfriends, and without the stress of exams and studies and all that. So like, just put it off till later. For now, just enjoy the friendship, enjoy hanging out, less stress, less drama. So that's kind of how I've been, you know, sharing with my kids. But that said, I've had my fair share of dealing with my children in BGR and boy-girl relationships.
Yeah, especially with your teenagers, right? That's in that phase of life where hormones are raging and things like that. So I guess it's our evolutionary destiny to always pair up and find our mate.
Yeah.
So that's the time that we need to be very alert and prepare them for it. I guess you know, when people are thinking of life partners or settling down and, you know, finding their spouses, what you normally hear is who is the type of person, who's the type of spouse I'm looking for. I don't know. My opinion is that I think that question will be better answered when you begin to know yourself better, right?
Yeah,
Otherwise,
that's
you are just aiming for a idealistic, you know, utopian state where it, you know, it doesn't really exist, right? You're looking for that perfect Mr. Right or Mrs. Right, who does not exist, right? And it may not be the right match for you because you do not know who you are in the first place. So I think it's good to give ourselves time. At least, you know, that would be a good advice to the younger people. Give yourself time, you know, work on your self-awareness, learn more about yourself. And I think today, people getting married at the age of 30, I think would be good. I think it's unusual, but not a bad thing to get married at 25, like my daughter and Hafiz's daughter also. I guess there are certain people who mature a bit earlier because of the exposure and also their upbringing by their parents and their family environment. Yeah. So I think that's 30 is maybe a good age at this point of time.
Yeah, I don't mind telling my children that. Like, oh, you can start dating when you're 30. What?
Starting dating is one thing, right? But starting dating over and over again, for example, like you change your boyfriend, girlfriends, like you change, your channel, TV channel. I mean, I do that, I just change TV channel, don't know what to watch.
All right.
But what about that?
Yeah.
I know some friends last time when I was in secondary school. I mean, maybe it's still puppy love, but that's what
Yeah.
he does.
Well, yeah, it's a good thing that you said it, Hafiz, because that's actually one of the examples I use with my children as well. To like put off this boy-girl relationships in their secondary school years and all that, because these things happen. I said, sometimes you find this person very attractive, very appealing for this period, and then after that, you notice another person, right? So I said, so every year of your school year, or every few months, you're gonna have to like dump someone and then end up with another person, dump someone and out. So I said, like why go through all that drama, right? So
Interesting that you mentioned that. I had quite a bit of experience working with young people before I joined Center for Fathering.
I thought you changed channels. A lot of experience, no?
No, but I had conversations with various parents as well, and just learning from them how they also raise their teenagers, right? So I give you a few accounts. One of it was I spoke to a 12-year-old, okay, and then we were in a camp, and then we were asking them to play together as a group. Then he refused to go and play with the girls. Like, girls are kind of thing. Okay. Fast forward now, he's a father of one. Okay. So so when he was right, being an older person, I was like, yeah, you wait. Next time you won't feel the girls are anymore. Okay. True enough, right? He's a father of one child now. But also I've speaking to parents as well. That there's a school of thought that for us to consider. Okay, while Alvina says put it off as long as you can, this parent actually says he has 3 girls, he has 3 daughters. He says if any of my daughters wants to date, even as young as 13 to 15, right? He said he will allow them, but he will keep a very close eye on them. And the important thing is he will debrief with them, because he, in his experience, he was saying most likely they will break up. Most likely, because I mean, as adults, maybe we also know that, right? Most of it. But the breakup and the debrief of that, like how did the relationship end, like what happened, kind of thing, how do you feel, kind of thing, is the follow-up, is the debrief of that, is the processing with the child of how they feel, what they feel. So it's like, why do you even go into the relationship with this person in the first place? Oh, because I like him, I whatever, okay, he's handsome, whatever, okay, yeah. But this parent felt that it was important to walk, then to journey with his daughters, because he wanted to guide their processing, right? And in some sense, through that breakup experience, he kind of pointed out to them that, hey, this feeling of having a breakup. Now in a relationship, boy-girl relationship, you break up, you feel so hurt, okay? But it's okay because you're trying out, right? You're trying out, right? Yeah. But in a marriage, and especially when there's children, and then when you divorce, the feeling is this, but compounded, but also a lot of people are affected as well. So if next time you want to go into a relationship, think twice. So he actually he allowed the daughters to date, but he's ready to process with them, so that when they go into another relationship, right, you sure you're going now because you remember the heartbreak you had the last time? Are you prepared for the next one? The kind of thing. See? Yeah. So another way of processing with the young people as well, last thought, is that they don't have a concept of time, right? Like Alvina say, what if another nicer, cuter guy comes along, or nicer person comes along, then how, right? So I do a bit of math for them, okay? So if you are 13 years old, and you want to get, or 15 years old, and you want to get married at Hafiz and Pax's kids' age, 25, that's 10 years, 10 years of dating this person, Well, Paxson did it 9 years. Not many people can last so long, okay? But if you take 10 years, that means primary 1 to primary 6, sec 1 to sec 4, you like the same guy or you like the same girl for this period of time, though. From primary 1 all the way to O level, you like this one same person, and you cannot change. You can tahan, that kind of thing. So help them to actually see the duration of that. So same thing. You like this toy at P1, do you like the same toy in P6? In sec 4? You know what I mean? No, right? So help them to see how this duration actually plays up. Yeah. So that's some of the strategies that we have applied to young people.
That's interesting. You said that the father sort of like chose that path, because I was also thinking it's like between the husband and wife, right? You both have to be on the same page or comfort level when it comes to your children dating and so on, If one is so relaxed, the other one is like, no, 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 no. Yeah, I think there are a lot of issues that you need to visit. And then, yeah, I think that's an important thing as well to consider. I mean, I think as much as we have to think about, oh, what do we tell children? You also have to have conversations with your spouse and say, so what do you think about this? How comfortable are you? How prepared are you to deal with, do you want to walk through your child with this and that? I think that's important. But yeah, I mean, I say to put it off for as long as they can. But the thing is, sometimes they make the choices. We cannot control, right? So sometimes they make the choices themselves and say, well, guess what? This is my boyfriend, something. So we do have, and yes, I have a girlfriend. So we get those kind of like, well, I did tell you it's not good. It's not good. It's not, it's not, we don't encourage, it's not advisable, but they do come up and tell us like, oh, guess what? I am in a relationship. And then we journey with them.
But it's good that your children already tell you that, and I agree with Hafiz, it's very important. I rather they go in a relationship and they tell me rather than go undercover and then don't tell us. Then that's scary. And that's also something that I posed to the youth when I was working with them. I said that if you do something, be it smoking or go in the relationship, would you tell your parents? If you won't tell your parents, then you should reconsider whether you should do that thing or not. So if you go into a relationship and you feel that your parents will not approve, right, then maybe you shouldn't do it, or at least talk to your parents about it. Yeah, so get the parents involved. I always try to get the parents involved, especially in the things like relationship. Yeah, so not so that the parents can approve or not approve, but so that parents can journey with them through the experience. Yeah.
I think that's very, very wise. Yeah. I think the example that you cited, Kevin, about that father, I think those are very wise move. I think when Alvina tells her kids, to put it off as long as possible, I guess it's also from a mother's point of view or parents' point of view, so that they will be spared the heartache of breakups, right? Because when you are invested into a relationship, hopefully not physically, but emotionally at least, the breakup will be quite painful. And being young and not fully matured yet, that could be quite hard to handle. So we are just trying to avoid that. Although you can't protect your child from all kinds of pain and hardship completely, but wherever we can, we do that. But I think it's to find a balance or to find a middle point between what Kevin's example and Alvina's example is. Well, we would encourage children to relate with all kinds of people, and I think it's part of that self-awareness journey of knowing yourself, knowing what you like, knowing what the kind of characteristics that appeals to you are important to you, not just because good looks are important because everybody values good looks, but how important is it to you, right? And is there something as important or even more important? I think those are things that I think maybe that father that Kevin was talking about, those are the things that he would be exploring with his children or his daughters as they go through that. Yeah, so I think that those are very good examples we can learn from, so that we know how to go forward with our kids. Yeah. Any advice, Hafiz, wise man?
Wise man, because I've gone through so many pitfalls.
Right.
Let me continue, because my first daughter is already 26. I got married. Then my youngest, number 4, is 15. Right. So we learn along the way. Actually, when with my wife, I think somebody mentioned just now about I think Alvina, about the communication between the parents. There must be some alignment in terms of values.
That's right.
Otherwise it'll be quite difficult. I mean, they shouldn't get wrong signals. So that itself is something that me and my wife thinks very important. So and sometimes daughters maybe they share with their mothers more. I really do not know sometimes what's happening. So I need to talk to my wife to know what's happening. All right. And if she's more comfortable with my wife, then I will just don't interfere in that so-called the communication, smooth communication channel. But to me also, it is not all right for you just to live to one side of the partner to do everything, to do all the investigation, so-called, and all the prodding, Yeah. But although someone is always better than the other. So my wife is good at that, actually, in questioning, and patiently listening, and trying to not really push the agenda, because when you push the agenda, they will close up. And once they close up, to open back is another journey that you have to take. They don't trust you anymore.
Yeah, they
They
become
think
very
that you-
suspicious.
yeah. So I think now with my last one is very smooth. I even can talk to her, and openly, and I think that is much more better in terms of for her own development, as well as for us, our own peace, of mind.
Yeah,
I've got a
absolutely.
question for you, Hafiz. So when your daughter started to date this guy, how much involvement did you have in the sense that, did you only already know this guy, or did you meet up with this guy? You meet up with his family, and finally, did you have give your daughter the green light? It says, okay, I give you my blessings to marry this guy if you choose to.
Okay, so for my son-in-law, it is very unique because I know him even before my daughter knew him. All right,
Oh.
because I met him, I think, when he was early in his university days, because I'm active with some of these student work, right, mentoring, so called. And then later on, I found out that actually she got to know my daughter, and then the relationship become a bit, I have to put in perspective, because I communicate with him as a friend. Now it's like, future son-in-law for him also. This is my future father-in-law. But I tell him, all right, we should keep as friends. Don't worry, no change in the relationship. If you respect me before, you still respect me now. To me, it's very important for you to tell me what actually your relationship, and what you want to have the relationship with my daughter. And I think it's a bit unique. So I was very happy to know him even before, and I even said during the wedding day, he even said, he admitted that, I know your. It was weird to hear, I know your my father-in-law before I know my wife. Yeah. So from then on, I think they took about, there was engagement, 1.5 years. We don't want to keep it too long because they were really serious with each other. And although this is not ideal, he's still studying at the moment overseas, but they were really, we really went through the process, like talk to their parents, his parents, and then making sure there's support on both sides. And although, this thing about you must have stable income before you get married is always a concern of all parents, including me, but they seem to be very independent and very sure what they want to do. All right. So yeah, taking
So
your own responsibility at the age, to me, is important.
yeah, the real question is, do you think parents should need to give their blessings to the kids, like daughter or son, and says, okay, if you choose to marry this girl or this guy, we give you our blessings, or should parents stay out of it? It's totally the children's decision.
Yeah, I think this is a personal question, right? I don't know what's the right answer, but to me personally, I think parents should bless it. Then it becomes a more, not just a marriage between two individuals, but a marriage of families. And I think happiness derives from there, because you can't just say that you get married to person, then you run away, you just shut off from the rest of your father-in-law, mother-in-law, and so on.
Yep.
So then it'll be very difficult, because I think, to me, family is beyond just the nuclear family, right? You are building a relationship that should last beyond just the two of you getting married. So I try to practice, although it's not easy, because it's like maybe the two couple can get along, but the in-laws cannot get along. So what? You don't you get married just because the in-laws cannot get along? So there's
Yes.
line to be drawn. This is not about you anymore as a parent. This is about your child. If they're happy, carry on. But lo and behold, the first one, they ask for blessings, so from the parents. So it's easy. I
Yeah.
don't know what will come for the rest yet.
Yeah. So Alvina, I guess you're next in line because your kids
Don't
are
say that. We're gonna
teenagers.
scare my husband.
Do you
Yeah,
think
well.
you and your husband, what are your views about having a say in who your children will choose to marry?
Wow. I think we're particularly close to our children. I think it was very intentional since they were young for us to be very open with them, with their lives, and know as much as we can, as much as they are willing to, tell us. So we hope that, with how close with or how well we've nurtured the relationship, that our opinion matters to our children. I think that's what we're hoping, and or at least if my kids, so I have 3 teenagers, they have their own little romance here and there. I have my string of handling relationships and breakups, right? So so even though they pick people that I might think, maybe this is not the right person, and they just go ahead anyway. But the thing is, at the end of it, they can come back to myself and my husband and like, you know what, the kind of thing where they're like, I didn't want to say then that you were right, but then now you're right, that kind of thing, be without me saying I told you so. But yeah. But then I think I would like to think that our opinions matter to our children, and then when that time comes, that they would seek it out from us. Because I would think that as parents, we see them inside out. We know a lot of the things that they're going through. Sometimes I know what they're thinking even before they speak, because I see it all over their face, all over their body language. So these are some of the things. So yeah, I hope that's what happens when the time comes.
What do you think, Kevin?
Well, that's an interesting question. Haven't thought about it before, but now quickly just listening to Hafiz and Alvina, I think it's a very beautiful setup where the children actually seek the parents for their blessings, because it shows that they respect their parents. Like, thank you for raising me and things like that. But now I'm old enough to actually choose my partner, and this is the partner that I found, and I would like you to bless me. That kind of thing. I felt like I think that's a very beautiful setup, that if the child will actually ask, I want to seek your blessings on that. But whether we as parents see that, oh, this partner, why you choose this one, that kind of thing, whether we actually approve or not is another thing. But if it's not a very dire kind of thing, I guess we as loving parents and trusting that our children are old enough to make that decision, I guess at the end of the day is we can voice out our opinions, but we must always be supportive and be there, I think, that, because at the end of the day they are the ones choosing. Because I agree with Hafiz also, that because when a couple gets married, it's not just the husband and wife kind of thing. Marriage affects the community, right? Because the union of a man and a woman is a joyous occasion. Similarly for a divorce, right? When a man and woman separates, it affects the community as well. It's not just you two divorce only, but everyone else is affected too. So in that way, in that light, I say that the parents' blessing is important, partly because it shows respect from the kids to the parents, but also it helps with the continuing of the relationship that can have beyond the child already. It's like, now that Hafiz has a son-in-law kind of thing, the daughter knows that my dad and my mom, my parents accept my spouse, right? And then when the grandchildren come along, the grandchildren can see and sense this acceptance as well. Because on the flip side of it, if there is no blessing, it can tell the way you relate to the in-law, right? Then the grandkids can pick it up. And do we want to harbor such a resentment towards the spouse is something that I'm considering as well. Yeah, so I think it's good. I think the last thought is that when I was a teenager and starting the dating scene, my parents actually made it a point to actually call me to bring my partner or even my friends over. Even when I was not dating, my parents had a habit of saying, bring your friends over and hang out at my place. But what I didn't know was my parents were actually watching my friends, and they were actually observing my friends. And if they don't say anything, means they are okay with my friends. But I didn't know that. Only later when I was older, then my mom told me, I asked you to come, ask your friends to come so that I can see who you're hanging out with. Yeah, so I thought that was wise.
Yeah, you find out how you make choices, what your values are, your priorities, and things like that. Yeah, I think that is it is important for the child to get the parents' blessings and also to listen to their opinions, because I think parents know the child best over any person in the world, So in my case, when my son-in-law, before they got married, before they even got started to date. Very interesting. This guy came to my wife and I, made an appointment to see us, and so we had coffee or tea together, and he basically asked permission to date our daughter. All right. I'm not sure if this happens quite commonly, but I've not
Wow.
heard
So
of
old
it.
school.
Yeah,
Could it be that your daughter said like, "Hey, you better do this. You better do this. My dad will really like it."
No, definitely not. I think if my daughter had an opinion, she would say, "We can do whatever we want."
Okay.
But this man today, I mean, he was well brought up, in a very Chinese, traditional Chinese, conservative, old school, like you say, values, which is good, and I think it was refreshing to see this happening. And, so we basically got to know him a little bit more during that, that chat. And over time, we began to know him. But what gave us assurance, or at least, a good level of confidence, was that when we know because we know his parents, and we know what kind of people they are and what kind of family they have. And so, I mean, no family is perfect, right? But there were some very good things in that family, and so we gave us a kind of a assurance lah. Yeah. So I think all this comes in, and I think that's how parents can help the children make the better choice. But I think having helped couples for a long time, I also began to see that whoever you choose, the pasture is always greener on the other hill until you actually get to the other hill. So you just and if you so don't go down the road of asking yourself, what if I had married the other person? Because it's just a different set of problems, but it is still problems.
That's
right? So I think that's something we need to help our children also understand. Yeah.
But I couldn't imagine my teenager, let's say, a 15-year-old boy come to me and my husband say, I'm interested in your daughter. Can I have your blessing to date her? I'd be like, what a peculiar boy.
I want to meet your parents.
Yeah. And then I don't know if I would be taking it too far in this friendship. And I'm like, I would like to see your parents. I mean, would it scare the young 15-year-old boy or the girl or whoever, Like, why do you want to see the parents? So, yeah.
No, I think a good way to deal with that is, sure, come over for dinner tomorrow night.
The boy, yes, but I mean, his parents. Yeah. So, I mean, if I wanted to get to know the parents, it's like, oh, could we just...
Hafiz, you're going to say something, Hafiz?
Yeah. So I think that's a good situation, if you really think about it, right? That means if you have that intention and you say it to the boy, and the boy say, hey, this is a serious thing, then I better rethink again. Am I serious in this relationship? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not trying to scare him, but
yes.
I think...
Maybe I am.
Okay. At 15, yeah, maybe, it's... But
My
for me, maybe
would...
talking about old school, right? For me, my unique experience is that when I really wanted to get close to my wife, I mean, this is an admission, I never go out with her. You know where I see her? Always at the house with their parents at home. I think old school is ultimate old school. Yeah. Because I'm serious with the relationship, so I thought, why not get to know the family? I also think that it's better just to meet her, talk to her at home, because there's no suspicion of anything.
Yeah.
All right, and that's a good thing. I always tell my children this. From that so-called practice of mine, I get to know her late father, because the late father passed away before we got married. If not, I wouldn't know. I know the family well even before that, and I thought it's a good experience for me. Right, for me to even share to my kids. I don't know whether they can live up to this standard. Yeah, but then I knew my wife because we were in student circles, activities together. So we only talk to each other, and with friends around, so that kind of environment.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
I don't know whether
I definitely
it's really
no, I definitely agree. I mean, that is really that's really like the high standard, and
it's called supervised dating.
And it's so confident, so confident for you to like, all right, let me just hang out with your parents around. But yeah, I agree with that. So one of the things I also encourage my children, if they start sharing with me a particular love interest. I'm very curious. I think as a parent, one of the things I definitely encourage parents is don't overreact, but be curious in a very positive manner, because this is your child kind of transitioning. So you want to be in that world, in that space, and just get to know what's happening, right? So one of my requirements is that I would like to meet this person. I would like to, I'm not scared. I'm like, oh, okay, if they're hanging out with friends, I say, oh, I'm in the area, have your friends come over. I want to say hi to them. And then like, oh, hi. And then like, what were you up to? Da, da, da. So at least, you know who your children are talking about, and just get a initial sense of who their friends are or who the love interest is. So yeah, I think that's good.
Wow, this is definitely a hot potato, and there's so much wealth of wisdom and advice that we have here collectively. I think we can go on and on for another hour or two, but we have to stop here. So thank you very much for all your inputs and sharing your own personal stories. So to the next time,
Sure.
goodbye.
Bye.
See you.
Bye-bye, everyone. This is the WADT podcast, and thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like, follow, or subscribe so that you will not miss any episodes. Share the link to this episode with someone you think that will benefit from it. We want to know what you think of this episode too. Please feel free to share your comments on one of our social media platforms. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also email wearedads2@gmail.com if you have a question or need help. Till next time, this is Hafiz and Paksan signing off.